All right, this is Algebra Chapter 5, Day 2, Slope-Intercept Form. You've had slope-intercept form before. If you remember it, it is y equals mx plus b. The most popular form of a linear equation. Learn it. You will use it over and over. We learned yesterday that m is always the slope. The b, since it's slope-intercept form, is always the y-intercept, meaning where it crosses the y-axis. So if I want to get into slope-intercept form, I have to plug in m and b, and then the x and y are the infinitely many points that would be on the line. So when I go here to number 1, I know it's going to be y equals something x plus b. The b is the easiest one to figure out, right? B is where you cross the y-axis. So I can see I'm crossing the y-axis here at 5, so the y-intercept is 5. And then the slope, just like yesterday, I would pick 2 points that are on the line, and then calculate the slope. So I can see I use these 2 points, and it wouldn't matter which 2 points you use. I go up 3, left 1, so it'd be 3 over negative 1. The slope is negative 3. So the equation of that line is y equals negative 3x plus 5. Same concept here, y equals something x plus b. B, the y-intercept, is where you cross the y-axis. I can see I'm crossing at positive 3. Slope, rise over run. You see I rise 1, run to the left 1. So 1 over negative 1 would be negative 1. So you can either write that 1 or not. The equation of that line is y equals negative 1x plus 3. So the next thing we're going to focus on is getting into that slope-intercept form. So we're going to solve our equations for y. Right? Y-intercept, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So it's solving for y, just like you've done time over time. And again, you're solving, asking yourself, what's keeping y from being alone? How do you move it? So on number 3, y is on the right, which is fine. I know some of you don't like it, but that's fine. To move the negative 4x to the other side, I would add 4x to both sides. Cancel and clean, so 0 plus 4x is 4x. Other side is y. Y is alone, that is slope-intercept form. If you don't like the y on the right, you can move it to the left as y equals 4x. So then in a little bit, we'd have to pick it apart to graph it. This would mean that the slope, the number in front of x is 4. B, the y-intercept, well, I don't see a number there. The only thing that I could add on that wouldn't do anything would be 0. So number 4, what's keeping y from being alone? First, I would move the plus x. To move a plus x, I would subtract x to the other side. Cancel and clean. I'm at negative 7y equals, you can't actually subtract x from 2 because they're not like terms. So you write your x and then your non-x called your constant. So you have negative x plus 2. Y is still not alone because it's being multiplied by negative 7. So the opposite of multiplying by negative 7 is to divide by negative 7. So this whole entire right-hand side gets divided by negative 7. I like to take the time and write it individually under them so I can see the fractions that are being created that I'm going to have to reduce. So I cancel, I clean, so I have y equals invisible 1 here. So when I reduce negative 1 over 7, or negative 1 over negative 7 would be positive 1/7 x. 2 over negative 7 is negative 2/7. So slope-intercept form is y equals 1/7 x minus 2/7. So slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, you're solving for y. We'll practice a couple more, and then we'll start graphing on the other side. So number 5, 8x equals 15 minus 3y. So to get y alone, I first have to get the y term alone. So to move a positive 15, I would subtract 15. You can't actually subtract 15 from 8x because they're not like terms. So we go 8x minus 15 equals negative 3y. So y is not alone, it's being multiplied by negative 3. So we would divide everything by negative 3. So that gets our y alone to equal 8 over negative 3 would be negative 8/3 x. Negative 15 over negative 3 is positive 5. Slope-intercept form. Number 6, to get y alone, I first have to get 3y alone. So to move a negative 15, I would add 15. Cancel and clean. I get 3y equals negative x plus 15. Now not like terms, you can't combine them. To get rid of the multiply by 3, I'm going to divide by 3. So y equals, invisible 1 there, so negative 1 over 3 would be negative 1/3 x. 15 over 3 would be 5. So the slope-intercept form is y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5. Now we'll combine that to be able to graph a line. So you can see on number 7 and 8, you are already in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So what you always graph first is the y-intercept. That's your starting point. That's what you're going to have to graph first. So I can see there my y-intercept is 4, which means I'm crossing my y-axis at positive 4. That's my first stop. The slope is 7 over 3. That slope is positive, so I need to make the line rise. So if I rise 7, if I go up 7, I'd have to go to the right 3, which puts me off the chart. Well, that would be the same pattern as going down 7 and to the left 3. Because then you can see when you connect those two dots, the line is rising, so the slope is positive. On number 8, y-intercept is negative 5, so the first dot goes at negative 5. Slope is 7. Slope is a fraction, so to make that a fraction, I can put it over 1. It's positive, so it should rise. So if I go up 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I would go to the right 1 to make the line rise. Remember, you put arrows on the end to show that that line, since it is a line, it would go in both directions forever. So you can see 9 and 10, the difference is they're not in slope-intercept form. So the first thing you're going to have to do is solve them for y. I'll rewrite it here so we have space. So negative y minus 6x equals 4. So I first move the negative 6x by adding 6x to both sides. So negative y equals 6x plus 4. Y is not alone. That's a common mistake. This is negative 1y, which means negative 1 times y. So to get rid of the multiply by negative 1, I divide it all by negative 1. So then I'm in slope-intercept form at y equals negative 6x minus 4. So then, like in the last two problems, the y-intercept is negative 4. So first dot goes at negative 4. Slope is negative 6, which would be negative 6 over 1. Since it is negative, if I go up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would have to go to the left one so that when I connect the points, the line is falling. Remember, positive slopes rise, negative slopes fall. On our last one, we have 8y plus 2x equals 8. So to start to solve that, to move the 2x, I would subtract 2x on both sides. So we're at 8y equals negative 2x plus 8. To get rid of the multiply by 8, we divide everything by 8. So y equals negative 2 over 8 in the simplest form would be negative 1/4 x. 8 over 8 is 1. So graphing, y-intercept is 1. First dot goes at 1. Slope is negative, so my line has to fall. 1 over 4, since it's falling, I can go up 1 to the left 4. Or it's the same thing as going down 1 to the right 4. So this line has a y-intercept of 1 and a slope of negative 1/4. That's slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b.